Hello, welcome back to Tottenham Logic TV. Tottenham are playing Manchester United this weekend at Old Trafford, but which manager is under the most pressure? I'm going to take a look at the time Ten Hag has spent at Man United and the shorter time that Ange has spent at Tottenham to see who on that game will need the win the most. Before I get into this video, please smash that like button. It really helps this channel grow, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm so close to 1k now. It's much appreciated to everybody that follows me. So let's get into the video. Do you remember when we had that clash, Man United versus Spurs, Nuno versus Solskjaer, battle for the sack? Man United ended up winning 3-0 and Nuno got the sack. Well, I don't think that is anything like that in this game. I don't think either manager should be called for the sack at all. I think both managers are doing well in for the clubs that they're at. So let me explain why. Let's start off with Ten Hag and find out what he's been doing with Man United so far. The problem is for Ten Hag is many Man United fans are used to winning league titles. They're used to pretty recent history, to be honest. Just over a decade ago, Man United were winning titles left, right and centre. So it's a lot of pressure on Ten Hag to start achieving that again. But in Ten Hag's first season, he won the League Cup. He got to an FA Cup final and finished third in the league. I think for where Man U were at the time, that's a brilliant achievement in my opinion. The problem with that is I don't think in the second season Ten Hag progressed from there. So last season, in his second season, Man United were in the Champions League. They finished bottom of their group behind teams like Copenhagen and Galatasaray. They also declined in the league, where they finished 8th in the Premier League, which is a record low for them. But in their second season, Man United suffered with many injuries. 6 central defenders and 2 left backs would be enough for any manager to not be able to contend with. But what I think was a huge example of how good Ten Hag is as a manager, even with all that adversity, all those injuries, he still managed to win an FA Cup in his second season, beating Manchester City in the final, which is not an easy thing to do. He got his revenge from the season before when Manchester City beat them in the final. So let's have a look at Ange Postecoglou to compare to Ten Hag. Ange has now just started his second season, so he's had 1 season less than Hag so far. A few days before Ange began his first season with Spurs, they lost Harry Kane, and he is Tottenham's greatest ever goal scorer. And the season before that, he scored 30 league goals in a team that finished 8th. So he was imperative to Spurs, so important to Spurs. Otherwise, Spurs probably could have finished about 15th without his goals. He took on a squad that was drilled to defend, counter-attack, park the bus, whatever you want to call it, for the last 3 years. So he had to install an attacking style of play into the Tottenham team, into the Tottenham squad, with relentless pressing, which they were not used to. It started brilliantly in his first season. They won 8 out of 10 games. Spurs were flying. But in that disastrous game against Chelsea, Spurs lost 4 of their best players at the time. 2 of them were going to be out for 3 months in Van der Ven and Maddison, and it all sort of went downhill from there. I still saw some really good football, but for only one half, to be honest. Spurs continued to get injuries over the season, and the squad was too weak to cope with all this pressure and all these injuries. But Spurs still managed to finish 5th and qualify for the Europa League, which to me was a good achievement considering they were 8th last season with Harry Kane. So they finished 3 places higher and, qualified for Europe, which all in all was not too bad, In the cup competitions, Spurs went out in the second round to Fulham went out to Fulham in the second round and went out to Manchester City in the 4th round, which didn't help Spurs fans' emotions towards Ange. We had a very, very poor end to the season, losing 4 in a row to Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea and Newcastle. But it was the manner of the defeats which really started making Spurs fans turn against Ange. For me, Ange had a bloody lot to do when he first joined Tottenham. Spurs were on a decline. But Tottenham, he got to get Tottenham competing again at the top of the league and competing for trophies again. It's a lot of work and it's way too much to do in just one season. I've already seen improvements this season in the way we're playing, the way we're dominating games, and we're even playing well for 2 halves now, not just one. And we could have easily had 12 points in this season already, but that's football, and sometimes that can happen. It's not always the way the cookie crumbles. Even when you play well, sometimes you still might not win the game. It's down to just finishing for me. If we finished a little bit more, I really think we were a little bit better. I really think we could have been higher in the league already. I think Ange should be given at least another season just to see what he can do. He always says he produces in his second season, and he always has done. So we need to give him his second season to see what he can do. There's no point. It's ridiculous to keep sacking managers every time there's a rough patch. Hasn't worked in the past. We keep sacking managers and we ain't won anything still. So that doesn't work either. That's proven. That's a fact. So who needs to win more? Man United are used to winning titles, so there's always going to be more pressure on Ten Hag than there is on Ange. But Ange has got different kind of pressure. He's got Tottenham haven't won trophies in many, many years, so Ange has got that pressure put on him to win trophies. If he doesn't win trophies in the next 2 to 3 years, I feel many Spurs fans might start turning against him, but I don't think they should. Sometimes, right, Ange said in his press conference that even Ten Hag is winning trophies and they're still turning against him and criticising him. So even if Ange starts winning trophies, some Spurs fans will probably try and find a way to turn against him anyway. Probably league positions or not winning European trophies or whatever they come up with. The bar will always be set higher, and I don't blame fans for setting the bar higher for their teams, but we've also got to be realistic, and we've also got to, back our manager. If you want him to win things, back him, back the players, back Spurs to do well. To summarise, I think both managers need to win just as much as the other, but for different reasons. So I'll leave it to you in the comments to decide which manager needs to win more on Sunday. My match prediction is 2-1 to Spurs. I'm going to back Spurs to get the win, only because Man United have not started the season that great. And I know we don't normally win there, but just the way we're playing at the moment, if we play like we've been playing in the last few weeks, I really think we can get a result there. So 2-1 to Spurs, and I think Solanke will get on the score sheet. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below, and come on you Spurs.